Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I'm joined by my very good friends. First of all, we have Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy. We also have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. Excuse me. And, boys, it's time to announce a very special guest, longtime friend of the pod and, of us, but also just a good friend. We got a special guest here today for all of you. His name is Antonio McCurdy, who we like to call Tone. Tone, what's up, bro?
What's going on, y'all? How y'all feeling?
Hey, welcome.
I'm feeling good, bro. How are you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm happy y'all got me on.
You picked a good episode to come on, that's for sure.
He did.
It's a crazy episode.
Much different than last week,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, so we're Justin hated last week's episode, Tone, just so you
He
know.
certainly did.
I hated it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was rough.
But anyways, hey, so we are here to review episode number what number is this? Is this
5. Episode 5.
Great. Episode number 5 of X-Men 97. The episode was titled "Remember It."
Ooh, you'll
Yeah,
remember
which even
it,
just
for sure.
saying,
Yeah.
just even just saying it, you remember why.
You remember.
It's great. Wow. Yeah. So we're getting into that before we get to the spoiler warning. Big shout out quickly to all of our listeners. Thank you for tuning in. We want to remind you to please share this podcast with your friends. If you got any friends that enjoy Marvel, enjoy X-Men specifically, share this episode in particular. Really helps us out a lot. Okay. Also, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod. Okay, boys, I think it's time for... Well, actually, before we even get into the spoiler warning in this episode, why don't we just give Tone maybe like 2 minutes?
Yeah.
So, Tone, for our listeners,
Yeah.
why don't you give us a little bit of your... I don't want to say your background, but just why you love...
Yeah.
X-Men, Marvel, really, and maybe you like DC more than Marvel, or Star Wars, or some other sort of...
Any nerdy stuff.
Yeah,
or geeky stuff
give us
that
some of
you
your
like.
geek background.
It's giving the option to set the tone for your
Yeah.
relationship with the boss.
There it is.
Shamato.
Man, I mean, honestly, I've just, ever since I was a kid, I just love the superhero just narrative. Just even, especially as Marvel started doing the MCU, you're just seeing these regular people eventually figure out some way, either because they got the powers and they didn't mean to, or you got an Iron Man who's like, hey, I see something going on. I need to create something. I have the smarts and the ability to do so. And just seeing them actually, it takes you into a different world, a different fantasy. And I just have always loved that about superheroes. So I did used to like DC more, but I think as the MCU came, it just opened my eyes to the fact of what Marvel really has to offer. Because I just liked all the DC heroes more. I mean, my favorite hero actually is the Flash, but it was always still Spider-Man next. But now I'm just like, I'm torn now, because it's just the more Spider-Man content I get, I'm like, whew, he is that dude. He is that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, man. Well, you fit in great here because these two guys right here are big DC guys.
Huge DC
Yes.
guys.
But they also, I mean, look, Justin's wearing a
I'm
Marvel
wearing a Marvel hat, yeah,
right?
so,
So
yeah.
it's
There he goes.
we are a very accepting podcast here for both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
Even myself, I've grown to like DC more. I used to like not watch
anything. Yeah.
except for Batman. Everybody watches Batman.
Yeah.
But we're happy to have you here, man. So, me and Tone were talking about X-Men this week, last week, I don't remember when, and today we were hanging out. We got dinner and stuff, and we're just hanging out, and it was like, man, we just need to get Tone on the pod. Let's get Tone on the podcast tonight. We're hanging out anyways, so
Yeah, might as well.
schedule opened up. It's perfect. So, anyways, let's talk about this. Here's your spoiler warning for everyone who's listening. This is your spoiler warning for episode number 5, titled "Remember It," which right off the jump, I'm just gonna say the name of the episode. Right when it happened in the show, I was like, "Oh my god, that's why they called it freaking Remember It."
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a epic.
I mean,
Dude.
Yeah, as we know, like there's 2 deaths in this episode.
Yes.
Like that's what I gather from this as of right now.
Yeah, that's what I would lean towards as well.
That was tough, man. That was tough.
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah.
As we know?
Well, cable exists.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
things can change.
Okay,
Right.
sure.
But
sure,
as of
sure.
right now, yes.
He could bring it back.
Yeah.
Could run the
Yeah.
whole thing back.
Which, if you so we talked about like Cable. We're already jumping in the Cable.
Yeah, we're
right.
right.
Might as well,
Way
right?
into it.
Yeah. So yeah, Cable makes an appearance, and he's like, well, as he's getting sucked back in, he says, "Not again." And so clearly, he's lived this moment multiple times.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there is a chance that he can live it again. And
Yeah, it almost seems like he's attempting to perfect it. Maybe he's getting closer and closer each time.
yeah,
And like this is just the closest he's gotten so far.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking there's a distinct possibility maybe there'll be one more time and he'll be able to.
yeah.
We'll see how this plays out.
Very interesting that he made an appearance in the first place, like this
Yes.
episode. So
Yeah. No, it was pretty cool. Actually, even seeing him in the dialogue that I forgot her name, the way she calls herself,
Madeline
now.
Pryor.
Madeline
Yes.
Pryor.
Yeah.
What she said to him was crazy.
Talking about Clone Gene?
Yeah, Clone Gene.
yeah,
What she said.
that's his actual. That's his actual mom.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah,
for
I was
sure.
about to
Right,
say,
yeah, right.
his
Which is
actual mom,
crazy.
what she
Which is
said
still
to him.
crazy, bro.
And then even the fact that, like, because at first I was confused. She was like, she called him son, he called her mom, stuff like that. And then they're showing his eyes, and I'm like, why are you showing his eyes? But then I'm remembering, remember it, earlier in the episode, she's talking to Scott, and she's asking like, yeah, what do you think about our son? What does he look like? Like, describe him to me. And he's like, yeah, he has these brown eyes. And I'm like, the brown eyes, that's crazy. And just the fact that she was so excited because she's like, you made it. Because they had to send him into the future with other guys.
the
and they're like,
virus.
Well, and just like the fact of like they bring up the moment where she actually sees Scott's eyes and like is able to do that and that connection. And, like she sees like not just that, but she sees Scott as well, like in that moment. And like the idea of being able to see his eyes is such a closed idea for him. Normally that'd be like, okay, yeah, you see your partner's eyes, it's like whatever.
Cool, yeah.
But like for them, it's such a unique and pivotal moment in their relationship that her seeing her son's. It's essentially like that moment because that's the first time she's seeing her son's eyes. Like as an adult, like so it's the same thing as that relationship she had with Scott when she saw his eyes for the first time.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was all a crazy moment, but there's a lot more that happened before that.
No, there is. Yeah, that's my fault for just I jumped right to the end. And,
Yeah.
My bad. One thing I'll say, maybe just as a overarching idea or overarching commentary of this whole episode. I mentioned it to Tone off the pod earlier, but just there was a lot of, and I mean a lot of emotion in this episode.
Yes.
Deeply.
Oh yeah.
Like, so maybe we could just talk about that from a general perspective for a moment, but we can get into the specifics as well.
Are you trying to ask if we cried at the end? Is that what you're trying to ask us?
Who cried?
That'd be me. I for sure.
Yeah, I teared up a little bit.
Yeah.
Tone, what did you say earlier? Say it on the pod, please. Say it.
I said, if I was a dude that would cry about this type of stuff, I would have cried.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure, guaranteed.
I mean, you throw in the fact that, one of the characters is considered, one of the blandest characters in comic books. When people think about him, Cyclops, like how much is emotional, like there was so many hills and valleys for him in this episode, just everything about him. So you're talking about like emotion, like he was all over the place emotionally throughout the entire episode. It was insane.
Yeah, I mean, he storms off out of the interview, which this whole like interview that's happening is such a
Yeah. It's strange.
it's like a 60 minutes kind of news
Yeah.
report.
It's going on at the exact same time as like everything going on in Genosha. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's pause for a moment.
there's several
week-
storylines.
Yeah,
Several
last week we had what felt like a filler episode, right? We said that last week.
Right. Yep.
But this is really coming off the heels of what happened in episode, maybe even 2. I can't remember when, but when Magneto essentially was at the UN, and they mentioned that the UN was going to essentially give Genosha a bid to join.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rush bid, and so basically Genosha is now getting admitted to the UN, and so because of this we have a couple things happening. We got some of the X-Men, Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit, old Gambit, going to Genosha, and then we got everyone else pretty much staying back at the mansion, but there's a news crew there, and yeah, I think the point of the news crew in universe was they're trying to like literally humanize these mutants, like trying to make like the
Them
general
relatable,
public
yeah.
connect
Yes.
with them. Don't you guys agree?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
generally it.
Yeah. Which I mean, like, from my perspective, doesn't seem like a bad thing.
Right. Well, the opening Beast interview went well. Like they
Yeah, they did.
gave compliments back and
Yes.
forth, and he's
Yeah,
like
they
blue
flirted.
blushes. Or
Yeah, he was
something like that,
blushing.
right?
Yeah.
But which
Yeah.
that was a genuinely like humanizing like interview.
Yeah.
that was good. That worked out.
helpful.
In the
That worked
mutant's
out
favor.
good.
Yeah.
Like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is like, was okay? Who's on like Cyclops? Where we stand on Cyclops storming out on this news reporter? Like, he's got a point, or like he was too.
He's dealing
much
with
of
a lot. Let's like
Yeah.
he's dealing with a
Yeah.
lot, and then it's 97. All right, so like it was on the verge of like, is mental health real? Is that like a real type of thing, right? But he 100% is dealing with something.
Yeah, for sure.
He became a father a week ago.
Yep.
And then only
had to
have
give up his son.
Yeah, only have his
Yes.
son ripped from his hands.
Yes.
And then his wife is a clone of a woman he actually loves.
Yeah.
So like he's got a whole and does he love the clone? Like
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
so strange.
and he's got this like, what the heck was going
Yeah.
up in his bedroom? Was he?
Oh yeah.
Is he having, like-
he was having basically a mental affair.
Mental
Yeah.
Yes.
He was 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was over there talking to Madeline, and
That was weird,
Jean was,
bro.
Crazy.
But Jean was in the other room with Logan,
Kissing.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was making
Out in
having
the
herself
middle.
a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't hesitate. She turned
She
around. She said,
didn't.
"Oh, what's up, Logan?"
Yeah, she made the move. Yeah.
Bro,
She did.
She didn't
And
hesitate.
then Logan does like the most like whoa, it's Jean and it's Scott Summers, and
yeah.
that's how it is.
It's
Like,
how it is.
Yeah, he
yes.
said, "What did he say? Go talk to that." What did he say? He said something like a joke. about
Overgrown Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Still had the
yes.
diss in there.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Which
Exactly.
is crazy because
Yes.
I know, Shimano, you talked about last week how, like, in that episode, I think it was that episode, that Wolverine showed, like, a lot of emotion towards Jean.
Oh,
but
yeah.
then, and I was surprised by that. I was like, oh, snap, like, he did. But then for this episode, when she kissed him, which is like, oh, you would think, oh, they're about to play off of this. Like, once they kissed, I was like, oh, they're about to play off of this. Like, he's about to have even more emotion. He went right back to the normal Wolverine, just like, hey, no.
Yeah,
you only did this because you just saw me in front of you and you're emotional.
You forgot this. You lost focus for a second.
Yeah,
or something.
exactly.
This
Yeah,
isn't
Yes.
you. Like this. That's what.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
yeah, but
I-
it's. Oh, go ahead, Shimano.
Well, and one added thing for like Scott is the fact that he lost his position inside the team, in a lot of ways. Like
Oh,
he's
Magneto.
like because Magneto's kind of taken over the leadership role. Like so he doesn't know how he fits into the X-Men.
Yeah.
They had been talking about leaving the X-Men overall, and this has been running into his mind. So like all those things plus he doesn't know where he fits in anywhere in any way
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the world at all. I think right now. I think he's completely lost about where he belongs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just like lost his identity fully
Yeah.
with just everything he lost. And then, yeah, you have this reporter like, yeah, we're trying to, humanize you guys and talk about him. He's like,
Yeah.
the doctor didn't even want to, deliver my baby. What are you like? I don't feel like a human. What are you talking about?
What do you mean, you guys? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, right. He's like, don't put me
Yeah,
in
I
this.
think it was an unintentional moment, of course, but by the reporter. The reporter
Right.
was, I think, just really confused about what was going on because
Right.
she,
I didn't. Thank you, Shimano.
like, I feel like she just was like, "Hey, wait, well, I mean, they said you had a baby. Like we know you had a baby. We were trying to like, I think what she was going to try to do with it is make it a moment of like pushing this to push the humanity.
Yeah.
Right.
And, like the idea of oh, they have children, they have kids just like everyone else.
Yeah.
They care for their spouse and everything like that. I think it was just like one of the things she was just thrown off by the fact that he's so denied that fact, and then she pushed probably with a little bit of her own journalistic mind a little bit, and she didn't know the button she was pushing.
Right,
Like I think it was really just a complete misunderstanding moment.
Correct. And he probably. I don't think he intentionally was trying to lie to like protect the truth that his son is in the future.
I think it was just one of those things that like it would have been another thing that would have created separation between them and humanity because
Yeah.
it's like the
Yeah.
idea of these people are sending people to the future. Like
Yeah.
what else is going on?
It
Like,
would have brought the whole thing down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, try explaining that.
I
like,
guess
real
it
quick.
more
So you think?
believable.
So you think he was trying to protect that truth?
I mean, I think it was just like one of those things like he didn't want to get into that. Like it was just like something that's
Okay.
just so beyond comprehension generally that like the idea of bringing this up in this moment would have been just it didn't fit in.
See, I think he just kind of like Jean had a moment of weakness where she just kissed Logan. I think he had a moment of weakness where he's like, I'm not a father. Because in his mind, he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is true in the sense of like I think in a way as a defense mechanism, he has to think of himself as not being a father.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that if he allows himself to think
Yeah, sorry.
that he's, still a father, every single moment will be the pain of him not being there with his son.
Yeah.
Can I say something real quick? A couple weeks ago, I forgot to say this on the pod, and I'm mad at myself that I didn't. But the episode where they realized they had to send, is it Nathan?
Yeah.
Okay, where they had to send Nathan in the future, and they realized that they don't have enough juice for Jean and Scott to go, and he's like, "I won't be like my father. I won't leave him."
Yeah.
Oh,
And then,
yes.
And then, like 30 seconds later, he walks out of the room and leaves.
Yes,
him.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
We
Great
didn't
point.
talk about that, but he literally said, "I will not like abandon him," and then like not even a minute later, literally abandons his son. And
You're
I'm,
100%
That was
correct.
confusing.
and I'm so mad we didn't mention that a couple weeks ago, but I just had to throw it out here.
Dude, I had the same feeling, and I just like same thing. We just like passed over
We
it.
just missed it. We just
Yeah.
missed it. But yeah, what a chump. So Scott's got a lot of. I mean,
He reacted accordingly. He was fine. Like, I think his outburst was okay. It was.
in the
Yeah.
okay. I thought you
Yeah,
were talking
in the
about
interview.
his son.
In the interview.
I was
in the
like,
interview.
what?
Yeah, no. No,
Justin's over
like,
no,
here.
you're
no.
the father at the table.
As a dad, he was wrong.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
But
Good.
his outburst in the interview.
You saw my look too. I was like confused
Yeah.
by
I
it.
was like,
Yeah,
wait a
okay.
minute, wait a
All
minute.
right.
Reel that in.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Yeah.
the long story short, the interview was fascinating to see him like blow up like that. But yeah, meanwhile, everything that's happening with this news report, but in Genosha, there's y'all take it and run it here, but there's just a whole storyline. First of all, just what was it like for you guys seeing Genosha and seeing just like mutants? I don't know what you call it, mutanity. Is that what you call it? It kind of sounds weird to say that, like humanity, but for me, it's just like a whole
Existing, right?
a whole
Just
mutant
being.
culture just being themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really cool to see. I mean, different powers being used, and it was just like coexisting.
Yes.
Like, that was very intriguing to see in all the
Yeah.
way it was used.
It brought up so many questions though, like in my mind of like
Of course, yeah.
how this stuff works, like
Yeah.
how like jobs work, how does their version of humanity work in
I mean,
there?
the dude at the
and-
cafe is like making food with his hands. Like,
Yes.
literally creating it with his hands.
Yeah,
Like,
that was cool.
How do you do like a Stereotech grade on that? Like, how do you do
The-
like the health department
Yeah.
grade on that? Like, that's
No,
I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, all those things ran to my mind too, because I was thinking like, okay, this is really cool because I know Magneto and Charles Xavier's thought is like one day just bring everybody together, and so you're already seeing it act out right there, which was pretty cool. But then, yeah, I was thinking that same thing like, how does it work here with jobs and all these lifestyle things? Because it's like if you were to put them in the real world, I don't know. This is a random thought, but I don't know the man's name of that blob guy. You can see his skeleton. I'm like,
Yeah,
bro,
that
how
was
would that
interesting.
look in the real world? Boy, how would people
Yeah.
actually accept that?
And those are the ones like it reminds me of the scene in Last Stand where like Storm is talking to Rogue about like the fact that there's nothing wrong with them and stuff like that, and it's kind of this moment of like, okay, but Storm, like you can control the weather, and that's a super cool thing. Rogue literally can't touch people. Like this idea of like the version, like the levels of what it is to be a mutant kind. Like there's people that are like Storm. Like if Storm could walk around and never use her powers, and like she'd be fine.
fine,
But like
yeah.
this blob dude, I mean, the idea of finally being in a world where you're not seen as
I
like being just this outcast has to be something that is completely freeing.
Yes.
And I think the whole like Genosha society as a whole is interesting. They had the two statues of Charles Xavier and Magneto,
Yes.
and I feel like just having a country designated to mutants is more of like Magneto's dream because
Yes.
Charles didn't want that.
He
Charles
wanted mixed.
He wanted everybody integrated.
Yeah.
But they do execute Charles's dream by being involved as a united nation.
Yeah.
Right.
Being involved with world affairs. So like it's kind of a mixture of
Yes.
both. I think it's leaning heavily towards Magneto, hence why they approach him to be their king slash like
Chancellor.
leader, chancellor for the United Nations. But it's just an interesting dynamic to see that Magneto and Charles's dream that they have is kind of fulfilled
Yeah,
in this.
yeah.
this
In a lot of ways,
instance.
like it's almost like it's kind of like the first step in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It is leaning towards Magneto's idea of it, but if you have this safe haven where you can go if you want to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then you make it to where the only issue becomes like if it becomes something like, oh well, now all mutants have to
Right,
go.
correct,
That would
yeah.
be the only negative side. But if you have this safe haven where it's your choice, you can go here, or you have the choice of living in society. That's like.
And are humans allowed there? Like that kind of thing too.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
they did argue like there's like, oh, why do we have this one human on the council?
Oh,
Like,
that's right. They did say that.
They
You're right.
do. And
Yeah, that's right.
which is odd in some ways. You're like, yeah, why do they have this human? But in another way, it's like, well, I'm sure there's mutants that are in high positions in
Yeah.
other countries. So I mean, why wouldn't it make sense for there to be a little bit of mixing and matching?
Yeah.
It does create a lot of things. Like, what if a human just was like, hey, I want to go live in Genosha.
Right.
Like, is
right.
that cool?
They
Like,
can
is that
now.
like,
They can.
like how cool is that? Like,
Yeah.
it would be very interesting to see how that plays out. And I always like seeing like that deep dive into like the idea of like what is actually happening, because you can be the idea, oh, this world where mutants live, or this country where mutants live, but then it's like, okay, but how does like transportation work? Like, or like, is it fair? Like, what if there's like mutants that can that don't have like extreme abilities that can like let's say you're Nightcrawler, you can go from work to like
Right,
it'd be
he's
super easy to
good.
go wherever
Yeah.
you need to go, but then it's like, well, but then I have to pay for the bus, and then it's like it's this other idea. Okay, so let's say Nightcrawler can do whatever he wants, but does he still have to pay taxes into the system that pays for that transportation?
Right.
When he doesn't have when he's literally never going to use it.
Yeah.
Like this idea, it's interesting to see how like these things would play out,
Yeah.
and how the politics of those things would play out.
Yeah.
Yeah, which they slightly allude to when they get the apple at the fruit stand, and I think I looked away. I didn't see what the sign said, but I think it showed the price of it, and maybe it was Gambit, maybe it was Rogue, but they were like, "Geez, it's kind of pricey." And the one mutant that was like teleporting them around, what's his name? again?
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler,
Oh,
yeah.
Nightcrawler. Sorry. Okay.
Kurt.
It's okay.
I thought that was looked like the dude from what's it called? What movie was that?
X-Men.
X2. Yeah.
No,
Yes, X-Men,
no, the
yes.
new ones.
Avatar. What are you
No, the new X-Men. What's it called? The
Beast.
no, guys, jeez.
Here we go. Here we go.
The newest movies were what again?
X-Men Last
Like
Stand.
New Class and
Yeah,
First
New Class, that one.
Yeah.
The one that
Oh,
was
yeah.
with
First Class. My bad.
the one that literally did that power where you
Nightcrawler. Yeah.
That was Nightcrawler.
That was
They
Nightcrawler
never
as
called him
well.
Nightcrawler in that
Yeah.
movie.
No, they didn't.
I think they
called
call
Kurt.
him by his name. Yeah.
Yeah, Kurt.
yeah.
Yeah.
They called him Kirk in that movie.
Kurt.
Kurt.
Yeah.
Kurt.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
That's
at
his
all.
real
I don't
name.
know why.
Yeah.
I don't. Like,
He's a German dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't remember.
It's all
that.
good, man. It's all good.
Point is, he's like, look, I'm getting frustrated with you guys, but he was like, point is,
You're not the expert in the
Well, you just have to
Yeah.
remember that First Class is all set in the past.
True.
yeah.
So like it's just before he becomes like the Nightcrawler that we know of.
Okay, sure. But anyways, he was like, starting a country has its difficulties,
Yeah.
Like it does make you wonder how like currency and
Yeah.
equality and
Yeah. Yeah.
what do those things look like in forming that kind of mutant society? What if there's some mutants who are able, like, how does currency work if people have superpowers? Like,
Yeah. Or okay, think about like if you run a restaurant across from that dude he can create out of thin air. How pissed off are you that this dude has like his overhead is significantly lower than yours,
Right.
Because you have to purchase your overpriced produce,
Right.
whereas he's literally just like, here's an apple turnover.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
True.
For sure.
it's fascinating. All right, well, in light of that, and in light of me not knowing all these X-Men, are there other X-Men you guys saw, like maybe on the council? I didn't know who any of those people
Oh, Emma
were.
Frost.
Yes.
She was on the council wearing all white.
President Snow.
I
Something
mean,
like it.
similar. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like.
But her. She's very prominent in the X-Men world.
Yeah, she's like the right hand lady to Kevin Bacon's character in.
I thought so,
Yes.
but yeah, okay. Kevin Bacon. Yeah, where was he at? Just kidding. Okay. Did she die? Who on that council died? At the
Honestly, the body count at this end of the show, I have
Yeah.
no idea
Yeah,
what it
it's-
looks like.
They wreaked havoc.
Yeah.
Bro.
I don't know what the
I mean,
survivor list
really,
looks
the
like.
only there's pretty much 2 current confirmed deaths and a third who's kind of like definitely quite injured.
Yeah. Which when we're talking about the 2 confirmed deaths, the only thing I always think about, even though I know we said Cable was in here, he's probably gonna come back, in time again and probably redo it all again anyway. Which takes a little bit of the devastation effect from it.
It does,
But
yeah. I agree.
because that he's gonna come back. But Magneto, when he died, I know it showed it pretty much all the way to the point of once it exploded. There's always that movie or show rule.
wait, what do you mean when he died? What are you talking about?
Magneto.
Magneto.
He didn't die.
Okay. So
Which-
the biggest point towards that is so the Sentinel says Omega level.
Eliminated.
Yeah,
eliminated.
Yeah, well, they said that about Gambit too, and he was alive still.
Yeah, which this is the point I'm about to even make is like a part of like this. So they're saying that he's eliminated, thinking
He's not.
he died. I don't think he died either, but I think for a different reason you're saying is that when in a movie or a TV show, if you don't see the
Yes,
death,
thank you, John.
Yes.
We say it so many times here.
yeah, if you don't see the death, it's not really there. But you saw Gambit die.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Gambit looked dead. He did.
Gambit looked dead. He
Rogue
still
was
had a
touching
little
him.
strength. Yeah, like all that. He
Yep, you're right.
threw a motorcycle at
Yeah.
Rogue.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny. I ain't gonna lie.
that was insane.
He was-
They threw an exploding motorcycle at the one he loves.
Yes, I know.
that was funny.
But at least she could take it. She could handle it.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
She had to be like,
Yeah.
you know what? I hate what he did.
Yeah.
That was cool.
But that was great.
Okay, so all right, so the Sentinels show up.
Yeah.
Do we have any idea?
Well, hold on a second. Before the Sentinel,
Yeah.
wait, right before the hold on. There's some pretty cool like ball scene going on here. Like there's a lot of cool stuff there's actually okay. This episode had some of the hardest lines that I've ever heard. Like I legitimately was like taken aback by some of these lines. Okay. So early on when Nightcrawler's talking to Gambit, he drops a line that like it's a very poetic line. I know I'm this podcast.
that's just Nightcrawler himself. Like he's
Right.
a very like
He is
He
poetic.
says there is no love without sin. Love is best measured in what we forgive. Like that's him talking to
Yes.
Gambit about like him and Rogue. Like
Yeah.
fantastic,
He's
right?
good with her.
But then Rogue approaches Gambit to talk about Magneto's proposal, which
Yes.
was he becomes king, but he needs her to be his queen, that kind of thing, right? And she says to him, you light up everything you touch except me. Because, like, going back to the fact that she can't make physical contact with anybody except for Magneto because his magnetic whatever repels it.
Yes.
Which, I mean, such a deep line, man. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
And then while they're at the ball, the big line that like I like verbally was like ding, like one of those moments on Ice Cube and Chris Tucker moments. It said the UN lady came up to Magneto and was like, most other nations don't allow a terrorist to be their leader, and he says,
yeah.
yet so many allow their
Oh
leaders
my-
to be
yeah,
terrorists.
I was
Yeah,
I
that
was
was
like,
great.
wow.
I know.
I immediately
My-
thought of Hitler. I was
Yeah.
nuts.
Yes.
Man.
That was a great line.
Yes. So all three of those lines, like they were completely like they hit every point they was making, and it was just absolutely insane. I love those moments. And then the Sentinels show up.
Yeah. So are the Sentinels chasing Cable, or are they
no,
there?
I think they're there.
I
in
think
real
Cable
time.
is I think it's more the other way around. Cable is in a way chasing the Sentinels.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's
Correct.
trying to stop this.
He's trying to stop
Cable's from a
whatever's
future where the
happening.
Sentinels succeed. That's
Right.
that's what's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Sentinels show up, and I don't know what the heck this like prime Sentinel that's like
Yeah.
dropping all these other Sentinels down.
Yeah.
like it was like it was nuts. It was huge, massive, like 3 heads.
Did he call him a Godzilla size Sentinel?
I believe that was the reference,
Didn't
wasn't it?
someone
Did
say
it
that?
Yeah, that was the reference.
Yes, 'cause that
Yeah.
thing was big.
But yeah, no, it was insane, absolutely insane.
So we don't know who runs the Sentinels. Like I know
It's
Trask.
Trask
I'm about to say
started them.
Trask.
He started the
Isn't he-
program, but
he's-
we don't
so-
know right now in the series.
Yeah,
who-
I mean the way they make it seem like he's a big dude because they're like
Yeah.
yeah.
like
Yeah.
he is
Right.
coming like there's something
Right,
that like there when you see that person is gonna be
Yeah.
like a big dude.
Yeah.
Which I think it's I think it's still Sinister, Mr. Sinister. But they're just like building it up, like to build him up again because in a sense, I guess, if I'm remembering the episode correctly, I guess he was in some way defeated just for a second.
Yeah.
But obviously to come back, almost like what they were trying to do with King, you know.
Yeah.
What was supposed to happen with him. Like almost like defeat real quick. He's going to come back stronger because he's the whole big bad of this season.
I can see that.
Thing.
I can
and
see
so
that.
like, but I think I don't think Mr. Sinister is doing that by himself, like making this Godzilla-sized Sentinel. I think he does get Trask back in some type of way. Because I know Trask is gone or he's in jail or something like that, but it's like, I think he definitely figured out a way to get Trask and they work together, and he's like, cool, I'm going to make this thing, and now we're really going to get it because now I have Mr. Sinister on my side.
Right.
We're really about to destroy it.
And it's just wreaking havoc. It just like the whole entire city's blowing up. Carnage everywhere.
Dude, it's so
Yes.
crazy.
It is insane. Like Magneto being pushed to his limits was something to be
Yes.
to be viewed. It was so.
And
cool.
it was cool seeing like Magneto be. Oh, even like that last line he says to the one mutant who's with him when they're in the ball, and he's like, "Do not be afraid." Like that was
In German.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like
Awesome.
that was an elite like just so little, and it's cool seeing like Magneto be a protector, like instead of because for the most part he's like on the offensive side instead of on the defensive side when it comes to these things. He's usually the one attacking. You know, and so it was cool seeing him like have this bubble around these people, and he's just trying his hardest to try to, you know, be a positive good.
Yeah. So I guess Sentinels, from what I remember from Days of Future Past, like they just can transform, kind of like they use Mystique's power to power the Sentinel beings, right? Is that right?
I mean, there's a portion of that. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Like they can adapt to destroy mutants. That kind
yeah,
of
because
thing.
like they look metallic to me, but
Yeah.
apparently they're not. Because otherwise, Magneto would just wipe them out.
Right. They were made specifically not to be metal. So
Yeah.
that Magneto can't fully
Right.
take advantage
Right.
of it. Yes. Correct. Yes.
Although Gambit can do some damage.
Yes.
To
he
these
Boy,
can.
he
Yes.
Bro.
destroyed it. I was
Yes.
like, you sacrificed yourself, but
Yeah.
dang, I didn't know you were that powerful,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah. Okay. So Gambit is okay. He's been a fan favorite for so long.
Yes.
As far as like the animated series really made Gambit a thing, right?
Yes.
And then live action could never get him right. Like I mean, there was only one attempt, but it's very difficult to do.
And then there was always that talk about Channing Tatum.
Being
Like
which I never got him being Gambit.
I
but-
guess they wanted somebody pretty. I guess I don't know.
I guess.
I think it was just because like he has charisma.
Yeah.
And, like
Yeah.
that type of
Oh, yeah,
charisma,
yeah.
like
That's
that
true.
makes sense.
like Gambit has
Needs
that
that
like
suave.
Yes.
That's true.
Mon
Good
ami.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mon ami.
They got to get
it's-
him right this next time around.
Timothy
Sure hope so.
Chalamet.
Yeah.
Timothy
I would-
Chalamet.
You know,
I was just thinking that.
That would be
A little
I'm
bit
not
bigger
serious. I
stature.
was thinking that in
A
my
little
head,
bit
but I was
bigger
like, I'm not going to say
stature,
that.
though. A little
Yeah,
bit-
he would have to get
yeah.
he would have to get swole, which they
Yeah.
can do. They've done
Maybe he'll
it.
do
Yeah.
it. You know?
They've done it before. So
He's the it guy right now. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just,
for
it
sure.
is what it is.
But keep
But,
going. So you're going to
But
talk
yeah,
about
yeah,
this.
But fans have always craved him for so long since the '90s because like we all fell in love with him. To get him back in this new series, loving every interaction we get with him, to only episode 5 just crushed completely emotionally,
man.
like physically crushed.
Yes.
go out like
Yeah,
a boss.
but he went out like a boss though. Yeah,
Yeah.
He
Oh,
proved,
dude, he went
proved
out
himself.
in the.
He proved himself.
yeah.
Dude, that was one of the greatest, like last.
Oh, for sure.
What do you call that? Like deathbed kind of attack. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but like you're about to die, but you're going out swinging. Like, that's like
Yes,
the
there you
greatest
go. There you
thing.
go. That's it. And
it was almost like do you remember Laura Dern's like going out in the Star Wars where she pilots a ship right into
light speed. Into
yes
it, yeah.
light speed right into another ship. It was like
Yeah.
something along those lines, like just like epically just annihilating as you're going out.
That's true. That's a good point. And I will say, like we mentioned the motorcycle toss. Like he uses that to get Rogue out of the line of fire,
Yes.
and
Right.
then he gets like impaled through the side.
Yes.
But
Dude,
anything he touches,
Well,
First
Crazy.
hit,
Yeah.
the first hit.
Yeah.
Right when I
Oh.
heard it hit, I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "They're not going to kill him off."
yeah.
That
And I was
quick.
like, "I cannot believe it." And he's in pain.
And the Sentinel says mutant neutralized. He didn't
Yeah.
say eliminated.
Yeah.
Like, he said
Yeah.
neutralized, so he's not dead. Okay. He said eliminated.
so you think
with
that's the
Magneto.
difference?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
really think Magneto's dead?
Why not?
You want to put a bet on it?
I'm not gonna put a bet on it because
Yeah,
hey,
'cause you
cable
don't think
exists.
so.
Cable
Because
exists.
I'm about to say,
Cable
cable's
exists.
about to-
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Um,
it depends what you mean
stupid
by
time travel,
depends what
bro.
you mean by dead.
I don't think he died right
I think he's
Definitively not alive, or
I think in that moment he is actually dead, but I think Cable's going to do something that's going to.
yes, correct.
Yeah.
Well, I disagree with that, but that's good. Let's talk
Well,
about
great.
Gambit. Let's talk about Gambit.
And the next episode we know is the continuation of Storm and
Yeah,
Forge.
which is
screw this
crazy.
story.
Yeah, we're not gonna
Which
get
is
any
crazy,
resolution
bro.
there.
Yeah, I'll see you
Holding
in 2
my
weeks.
emotions like that.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yep.
anyway, I'm glad I thought about that. So yeah, so it says mutant neutralized, and then
You just see this smirk.
yeah, he says actually the name's Gambit. Remember it,
Yes.
and then
Whole thing lights up.
The
man.
whole
it lights up. Honestly, it lights up like Godzilla's tail when he gets ready to do
Yes.
his attack.
Yeah.
And it's so great because it's like it's creeping up, and he just completely obliterates
Yes.
this massive sentinel that has all these other sentinels launching from it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And man, it was such a great visual. Dude, the animation in this show is insane.
It's beautiful.
Like
Yeah.
even the Rogue and Gambit team up when they were like riding in on the motorcycle and that, and, like they were the way it was spinning,
Yes.
and they were like jumping into other minor sentinels, I should say.
Once
Looked
again,
great.
like the team up aspect has just been amazing because,
Yeah.
like I said, that is one thing that's been always like lacking in a lot of representation in superhero movies and TV shows is like team up,
Yeah.
like in battle, like because they always want this like this one-on-one and definitive like interactions between
Correct.
heroes and villains. Because it
Time to
goes
shine.
back to almost like chivalry or like knights or like your time to shine, like the idea of the one-on-one combat to see who's really like who is really greater, who wants it more. But it's always cool to see this thing where like two people working together more like, and you've seen a lot of that in this X-Men series
Yeah.
where like anytime that especially with Gambit, because Gambit has phenomenal like secondary abilities. Like he can enhance a lot of other people's abilities by like a lot. Like you saw it with Wolverine, and you see all this other things because he also has like this. He's almost like a magic user and like
Yeah.
and like a video game in a lot of
Mage,
ways.
yeah.
Like a mage. In the sense of he's like he can help enhance other people's abilities to like have frontline.
Well, and he can
combat.
handle his own because even that scene where he like jumps in, he has a staff, he like spins it around,
Yes.
lights it up, and just chucks it at the
Yes.
sentinel's head.
Yes, I mean yes, he can do a lot of like that stuff too.
Okay, I just remember the visual where they're all cowered in the building, and then the sentinel, like you see its eyes and come closer, and then the sentinel head just breaks through the window, and
Yes.
then he does the staff flip and throw. Like that was like a
Yes, and what was cool
beautifully
about that
animated-
was like
yeah.
the people that were there, and right before that they were like questioning like, why would X-Men help us?
Right. Oh,
like
yeah,
this,
yeah.
that
Exactly,
idea.
and then
Like,
Gambit
what do they
comes in.
have any love
Yeah.
for Morlocks?
This is Gambit's
Like-
this is his swan song right here. He
Yep.
actually
Yeah.
went out. He did everything
Yeah.
from beginning to end. Like
Yeah.
he had emotional moments. He had funny moments. He had like amazing physical. Like he was tough. Like
Yeah.
the dude came to play.
Well, and
Yeah.
like like the underlying thing, we didn't really get to see that all that much, but like he got the girl. Like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like
he didn't
yes.
know that.
Yeah.
He didn't know
know
that.
Right,
He,
he didn't
like,
know that,
he didn't
yeah.
know that it happened, but he got the girl.
Yeah.
'Cause he
Like,
he walked out. He got mad after seeing them dancing, but then she repeated the same line that
Line,
he said,
yeah.
which I forgot what it is. Y'all can correct me, but he was like, "Love is deeper than."
I think she said they were only skin deep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Something's
Love
is
is
deeper
more
than
than skin. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah. So it was crazy because and it's tragic in that sense because he never really gets to
Yes.
get to do that
Right.
Like, or get to know that he got the girl. But like,
But
once
she's like
again-
also kissing Magneto in front of everyone.
Right. What?
Yeah.
What's with
Cra-
these women kissing all
crazy.
these men inappropriately in this episode? Bro?
Yeah.
What's
Yes,
happening right here?
Exactly. And hey, I don't know what is this show rated. I saw that and I had to check the rating. I was like, y'all getting a little central in the air in the middle of everybody. What's going on
And
right
that
now?
dress fit is.
I'm like, what's going on right now?
Yeah.
But no,
It took me back to like that pre-puberty, like about to
Yes,
awaken back in the '90s.
I'm telling you, man. But when also like you're talking about big lines and stuff, like I said, the love is deeper than skin, but also the I think at the very end too, another big line when she, like you said, Gambit wins, he wins the girl, he gets her. He doesn't know that he dies, he sacrifices himself, and then she goes to touch him because you feel her
yes.
tears. You feel her tears, and you're like, because she knows, like, I did choose him, and he's gone, and Magneto's gone, technically in her eyes too.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I can't feel you or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
and that's how you know, like, this
Yeah.
man is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was, I was
That
like,
was
Sugar.
yeah.
Yep, there you go.
I was like, damn.
All right, here's a question. Magneto's fighting his, as strong as he can. Rogue's fighting. Gambit's going nuts. Where's Clone Jean at, bro? She's at this party too.
yeah.
And how come she never
Okay.
suits up?
I was wondering because Clone Jean is the one. Madeline Crowe is the one that they were referring to when they said that she's
Madeline
the human.
Pryor, right?
Pryor.
Pryor, yeah,
Who
yeah.
is Crow? I don't know, but
What was that?
I don't mind it though. I don't mind it. I'm
I
here
think
for
about
it.
a bird. So yeah, like they were referring to her when they said, "Why is there a human in our council?" Right?
No, they weren't referring.
They weren't?
They were.
No, it wasn't her. It was somebody else. Some
Yeah.
other chick.
Yeah.
Okay,
Some other
yeah.
person because
Okay.
they know that she's a mutant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was wondering that because I was like, okay, what's going on? I thought the same thing. Like, why is she not doing anything?
If you
I think
like,
she was
she was bleeding from her face. I think it has something to do with
Jean.
whatever happened with her connection with Jean and her whatever was happening with Cable, coming back in time. I think there was something there that I think either threw her off, and that's why she was not able to.
I think she was, because it threw her off. She was only be able to do crowd control. She was with
Yeah.
Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler hustled, dude.
Yes.
that dude was moving people around, getting
Yes.
people to safety.
He was doing his thing.
He was doing his thing too, man. But he got pretty burned up too. You
Yes.
can see kind of the side of his face.
Yeah,
was
man.
he got he, took the
He
heat.
almost died.
He
right?
did. He
yeah,
did.
he was the one where I was like third
Gambit
one
said-
who's
Gambit said he's alive though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Speculation time. I mean, because I
Yeah,
told you
let's
guys
go.
what I
Let's
think
go.
about Magneto,
Yeah.
but y'all keep talking about you think Cable's gonna.
Yeah,
do
I think
something.
okay. So the Cable, it's a big deal. Cable's a big deal because he's from the future.
Yay,
He-
time
yes.
travel.
And if he didn't, Tyler's favorite. If he didn't say not again, if he didn't say that, then I would be like, okay, all right. But
Yeah.
he's clearly lived this again, and or is it not that he lived it again, but it happened in his future, and he's saying not again, he failed, that kind of thing. But
yeah. I think he's probably tried, this before, and he hasn't been. I kind of see it. Like I said, I kind of see it as a way of he is getting closer to a positive solution, and he thought this time
was it?
it. He thought he was going to get there in time to be able to do something this time that would make that future not happen.
Yeah. But I think Cable is going to be a pretty massive storyline moving
Yes.
forward here. I think.
Yeah.
Not this next episode. I think this next episode is just going to it's going to satisfy fans thirst for the show, but it's not going to finish a storyline that we really want to see right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be about the next episode is going to be about getting the team back up to as close to full strength for when they have to fight this force that is going to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
when Storm's going to get her back her powers. It's going to,
it's gonna get back right. Which
Yeah.
I do have a question. Do you think, which I don't think MCU would recycle it the exact same idea again, but something like it? Do you think if Cable will be such a big part, will they do a Loki season 2 situation, show just some people might call it a filler episode, I don't know, but an episode of just him the whole time trying to his perspective, trying to
Interesting.
Yeah.
go back and be like, I'm trying to get forward earlier
Yeah.
every time he keeps saying not again and trying to do that because remember
Yeah.
that happened in Loki. I'm like, I could see that happening with Cable, and that would matter a lot to seeing, okay, how can he do something, then from there you shift.
That would make sense because, so the setup of the rest of the season is the next episode's probably is going to be the continuation of that
Yeah.
episode
Storm and
of
Forge, yeah.
Storm and Forge. So you get that lined up, and then you could have the next episode. Maybe it's from Cable's perspective, and it would be really cool to see him almost being raised by Bishop.
I wanna
in
see
the
that.
Future.
Yes,
would be really
yes.
cool.
Amazing.
And basically, Bishop helping him through and learning, and then maybe halfway through, he finds out like this, and then maybe like the last half of the episode is what you're saying is like he's trying to get closer and closer and closer and closer, and then like the final time is maybe him. The last moment, he's like you see him get like closer than he's ever been before.
Yeah.
And then that's where it cuts, and then like you get the last couple episodes will be about them trying to resolve what was happening in trying to defeat whatever's coming.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm with it, man. It's been a great show. Been very enjoyable, very fun. Any other thoughts, boys? Before we
We'll
wrap
say
up?
this real quick. This episode 5. Guess the Rotten Tomato score for episode 5.
It's got to be in the 90s.
It is, yes.
Okay, 98.
Okay. You guys.
I'll go with 97.
Okay.
I want to say 99. I'm not gonna lie.
98, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, there we go. T-Roll hit it dead on. Yeah.
I know it was.
Yeah.
I knew it was 9.8
Yeah.
IMDb
Okay,
because I had looked that up.
Okay,
Yeah.
It deserves it. It was.
Yeah, it was great.
It was a really good
my
episode.
Great.
goodness,
What
it
was what was last week's episode, Justin? I know you didn't like it.
Oh,
7.2. So
That-
But
that
that
kinda makes
that
sense.
was by far, I think, like the
it's the
lowest
worst
rated
of the,
episode.
yeah, it's worst rated one. Like the
Yeah.
first episode was 8.4, second was 9.1, and then
So you're on IMDb now.
third was 8.6. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
on IMDb now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it was like almost like a full point drop
Yeah.
or more than that from the
for
next
sure,
lowest
for
rated
sure.
episode.
Yeah.
yeah. Which
Deserving.
maybe that I'm about to say maybe that makes sense too because I'm not saying every part 1 episode of something is like that, but maybe just because it was a part 1 and because it also had to share with the Motendo situation, which
Yes.
was like, what's that for? I guess just to show the funness of Jubilee or something. I guess, but
Jubilee.
yeah, I was like, what are we doing this for? Where everybody's about to die?
Yeah,
Like,
they're giving everybody their time to shine. So like the first
Yeah.
2 episodes was like kind of like Storm and Cyclops.
Oh, you
getting
know,
their-
here's what we do, Tony. We kill off characters like Gambit, and we celebrate Jubilee and Roberto or
Okay,
whatever.
okay,
Right.
no. Listen, like we celebrated a Storm episode. We celebrated a Cyclops episode, like because they got their time to shine. We have here a Gambit episode, right?
Uh-oh, I know where you're
Jubilee's episode was the season 4. Like that was her quote unquote time to shine, right? We got to get this Wolverine episode,
Dude,
man.
yeah, that's right.
We
Yeah,
gotta get this
I gotta
Wolverine
get
episode.
Wolverine. That's true.
It's gonna happen.
True. Yeah.
And then,
You're right.
and I feel like we gotta get a Morph episode, but I don't.
I
think,
would love
not,
to
not
have
to
a
that
Morph
level.
episode,
Though. He's
but-
not,
say it
he's
every
not that
week.
level of mutant, though.
We
He's
say
not-
it every week. We're not going to
Yeah.
get it.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know about him.
Yeah.
I will say, okay, so the way I think it's going to go is I think if it is along the lines of Cable coming back and them kind of almost like resetting the timeline, I think Magneto will come back to life. I think what will happen is we're going to think that Gambit's going to live, but they're going to have Rogue and Gambit will have a moment, and instead of him not being able to know that he got the girl, he'll know that he got the girl, but still has to make the sacrifice. So then
That'd
we
be
get to
good.
see him like have a very similar ending, but this time it's he gets to see the girl and go off in glory that way.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for it. I mean, give him give him the glory and like the happiness. That'd be great. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, great
say,
episode.
yeah.
Great episode.
They're
All right,
definitely-
boys.
They're
Well-
definitely setting up these characters for the MCU. Really well. Really well.
Yeah.
Please,
We'll
let's make it
see.
happen.
I mean,
It's
yeah.
successful too. Please.
We'll see if maybe Deadpool and Wolverine gives us any indication on that, or
Yeah.
if it's
I hope
just.
so.
I could see a world where it's just a closed story
Just
for
by
fun,
itself. Yeah.
and
Could
then
be.
there's a whole natural introduction of X-Men and mutants later on. But
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
got no idea. No telling what the MCU will do for right now. We'll talk about those MCU folks later. Okay. Big shout out to everyone who tuned in for this episode. If you're still here, we appreciate you. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. And once more, please share this podcast with your friends. It helps us out a lot. Leave us a review on Apple. A 5-star review does a lot. Leave a comment if you're on YouTube. And yeah, be sure to come back next week. We will be reviewing episode number 6 here on the Royal Geek Podcast. For my good friends, Sandy, Shamato, and Tone, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time. You as